You're listening to the First Fight podcast, home of the people and stories behind the fight. I'm Jennifer Anderson, the host and creator. My goal is to give you a peek into the remarkable world of fighting and create a platform for fighters to tell their stories. In each episode of this series, a different fighter shares a transformative story of their first time. On today's episode, I talk with fellow Milwaukee native Montel Jackson, who has found success in the UFC's bantamweight division coming off the Contender series. He shares his first fight experience, as well as what it was like coming up in a rough neighborhood on the north side of Milwaukee. We also talk about what he thinks your fighting style tells him about your personality.
I got into fighting. I believe I was just turned 21. I was maybe 2 years out of college. I was going to college here and there, but then my ultimate goal was to try to make the Olympics. So from there, I was basically just trying to train for the Olympics, stay in shape while going to school. And then I found out that Marquette, Michigan had an all Greco team, and they had slots available. So I was gonna try to make that, especially since my grandparents got sick and I wasn't gonna leave for school pretty soon, so I'd rather stay, But then my great auntie died, then my grandma died, then my granddad finally died, so it was no reason to stay here anymore. So it's okay. Let's finally make it happen. Let's go. And then when it was happening, the Olympics get dropped, and then I was like, man, what's the point of going up to Marquette, Michigan, if it might not be a program, or the program just get cut? What am I gonna do? So I didn't go. I ended up doing MMA through wrestling again because my friend Devon was he was fighting roughly on stats. He was like, Montel, just come in and train with me. This guy's a wrestler. You're a wrestler. You wrestle around a lot, so I just need that look or whatever. So I started going over there to Reds, and then I meet this little Puerto Rican guy, Gato, and he really talked me into doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu first. And I really didn't know what it was. He was just like, hey, you do this, you do this, you do this. It's just like wrestling, so for you don't do this and this. And I was looking at him kind of weird and shit. Man, you telling me the complete opposite, man. You telling me to get on my back. I'm like, I don't know, Gato. This don't feel right. But he just talked me into it, slowly but surely, and he just told me oh man, just after you wrestle with Devon, just stay open mat. I come every Sunday, whatever. I'm like, all right, Gato. I just kept going, and then I ended up doing my first jiu-jitsu tournament. Just listen to Gato, just listen straight to Gato, nothing else. I don't even know if what he was telling me was real or it was solid. I'm just listening to whatever he say to do, or whatever he just showed me how to roll or whatever. I just did that, and just that's what I was doing. So he talked me into doing my first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. I ended up beating everybody, and from there, sign up at Reds. So I signed up at Reds, and I meet Scotty, I meet Red, I meet Solo, and Scotty was dinner my first striking coach. So I had Scotty, and he worked on this oil rig. So he'd be gone for 4 weeks. He'd come back for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, some crazy schedule like that. So when Scotty was there, then I worked with Solo too. And Solo fuck, this dude, man. This dude used to make me do thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of reps of punches and kicks. Literally just, it'd be a regular class going on, and then they just beat me in the fucking corner jab, 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 jab cross, jab, just repeatedly knee, kick, just over and over and over and over. And then finally, when I had got my skill level up or whatever, I was like, Montel, do you want to fight? And I had been training I've been training consistently at Reds, and not just coming on the weekends or whatever. I just started training consistently after I signed up for 4 months. And it's hey, Montel, you want to fight? I'm like, yeah. They're like, how much do you weigh? I'm like, I was walking around. I was young. I was walking around at like 48, 49, 47. At the practice. And it's like, oh, you want to fight at 45? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So my first fight, I fought on Ben Roswell's show down there, like I think Kenosha. I
Yeah.
fought on his show. Like, so I'm thinking in my head, like they asked me, like, oh, I'm gonna tell you, like you're not scared for your first fight? I'm like, no, man. Like I know what can happen in here. Like this really isn't the streets where like I gotta worry about like somebody like I beat somebody up and they take out a knife or they take out a gun or they get a bat or I'm saying they come back with 4 or 5 people and they try to jump me. So I'm like, no, I'm not scared of this. I'm not scared of none of this. Like this easy for me. And they're like, all right, we got you a fight on Ben Rothwell's show. It's at 145. I'm like, all right, cool. And then from there we get to the fight day and like the whole day, like I didn't go to sleep. I didn't do nothing. I'm I'm geeked up the whole time. Like the whole time. Like after Friday, after the weigh-ins, that's all I could think about. Like, oh, I got to fight tomorrow. I got to fight tomorrow. I got to fight tomorrow. That's all I think. I got to fight tomorrow. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna hit him with this. I'm gonna hit him with this. I was just so geeked up. Like I was the first fight of the night too. So I'm just sitting there. Like I think I had got my hands wrapped like an hour and 30 minutes before the show even start. That's how geeked up I was. I'm just sitting there the whole time. Just everybody else in there, they like, oh, like they nervous. They looking around. They just see me. I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy to be doing something. Fight comes, like I like knocked this dude out and I don't know how many seconds, but it was early. Like I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear nothing the corner said. I didn't hear nothing the coaches said. I was just fighting. Like if you talk about the perfect first fight for me, like or the perfect first fight for anybody, it's just like you don't hear nothing. You don't listen to the corner. You got tunnel vision, and you just redline everything you got. Everything you got, all the punches, all the kicks, or whatever. I'm just hard as I can, fast as I can. And I'm just full force in there. No fill out, no nothing. I win. I come back to the corner. So like, Montel, did you hear anything we said? I'm like, no. Was y'all talking? He's like, yeah, we was telling you to. Like, man, I didn't hear nothing, man. I did not hear anything. He's like, yeah, man, you got to work on that. Like it's just like you've been a race car driver and you not like you lost communication with your pit crew. You know, like you don't know when it's time to come in, like for new tires or whatever, because you just drive it. You don't know something. Like yeah, that makes sense. Like you're like yeah, man, you gotta pay attention. You gotta listen, man. You just can't go out there with like a bull. Like I'm just thinking in my head like never thought about that.
So did that change in your fights after that? Were you able to kind of dial it in a little more and be present?
Yeah, like it probably took me probably like a good like 2 or 3 more fights to actually like turn on the like the comprehension of like what they're saying. Like I need to listen. Like I need to listen and like actively like be looking for like the instruction from the corner if it is something that needs to be said. But yeah, hell yeah, I think it was like it took me like 3 or 4 fights to actually like dial that in to like actually listen for the voices in the corner instead of just fighting. So like it was eye opening, and then I think it just made fighting a little bit more easier.
It takes time. At least, well, you weren't very nervous, but I feel like it just goes by so fast. But the more you do it, you get things slow down and you become more comfortable out there and more present in the moment.
Like now, I could tell you look like everything that happened in the fight. When I first started, I couldn't tell you anything because I didn't know. I didn't know. I was just fighting,
Mhm.
like the adrenaline rush. Like you don't remember nothing. You just remember just I was punching, I was kicking. I don't know what happened there. Like, but now like more like things are slowed down and like you are calm and you do got that stress. that potential stress or whatever, when you do got that under control, like I can remember stuff like, oh, this happened here. Like I can remember like the volley of punches back and forth maybe or whatever. I can remember that stuff, but like before, I won't be able to tell you anything other than I just
Blur.
fought. Yeah, I just fought the guy. It was chaotic, and I won. That's it.
So Montel is from Milwaukee. You're someone that I met at Reds. So I've seen you and kind of followed you along the way, and it's really cool to see you now in the UFC. You made it through the Contender series, and you've had 4 fights in the UFC now,
Yep. 4 fights.
about 3-1. I think you're definitely like a big up and coming prospect. You are freakishly long for your weight class. And I know you're a wrestler, but I kind of think of you as a striker when I think about your style. It's very technical. You're from Milwaukee, obviously, where I'm from, and I love seeing someone get put on the map from our city. And you are training out of Pure Vita now, which is also exciting because now it's like there's more than one gym in Milwaukee that's getting fighters in the UFC, which is kind of a testament to how far the sport is coming.
Yeah. I think Milwaukee's always Milwaukee and the Midwest has always been a hotbed for like MMA fighters.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just came down to like not even people paying attention because like on the regional scene, like it's always been tough competitors from the Midwest,
Mm-hmm.
and especially like people always been coming from like Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, um, Ohio, Illinois, and then like most recently Michigan. So I think MMA's always been here. I think just on that large scale, people didn't really pay attention until like that influx, especially with like Contender series and everything. Like you know, the good thing about Contender series is they go around them to, like everywhere. They go from region
Yeah.
to region, and they look to scout like the top prospects. So I think within doing so, like it gave everyone in this region like that look now. Like okay, this guy's always coming out of this area, so let me go here. This guy was pretty good. He came out of this area. Let's go here. So like I think my success is their success, and their success is my success, and I think that really helped me get there. Like the other people from this area,
Mm-hmm.
them making it helped me make it.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of highlighting people that might not have had that opportunity without certain connections, which is
It's,
really
it's
cool for
big.
a contender.
It's big. It's big because I don't think like the politics of MMA is bad, but if you compare that to boxing, that's been the name of the game ever since it started. If you don't know anybody or your manager isn't connected, you're not gonna get the fights that you need,
Mm-hmm.
or you will never ever get that fight that you need to get to the next level, or you never get no one will ever give you that fight to get you over. You know what I'm saying, to the other side, and you can be like you can be that person making the big bucks, but and
I think your success shows too that there's talent there that was
yeah,
being
yeah.
missed, like you're doing great in the UFC and you came off the Contender, and it's you might have been missed if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, yeah, hell yeah. I kind of watched a little bit of the first season of Contender Series, and I never thought like, oh man, like, because I only had like 5 fights. Like I was seeing those guys, and they had like a lot of people had like way better records than me because I only had 5 fights at the time. So I'm like, all right, probably next year I'll be looking at that or looking at something. I'll probably get 10 fights in or whatever, and then hopefully I'll get a call or I start getting looks or whatever. But it was already happening. It was pretty much already like happening. Like like when I was like 3-0, 4-0. Like it was already kind of like pretty much tough to get fights. So it's kind of good, but then it's kind of bad because it's like, oh man, like I know this guy ain't gonna take the fight because it's more risk than reward for him. So and
Mm-hmm.
the money that they're gonna give him on this level, I don't think they're gonna take it. So that was real tough. But the fights I did have, I did thank those guys, because a lot of people they wasn't gonna take it. When I did jump to 5-0, then everyone started coming out the woodwork, but like on like the higher level, like the regional scene and stuff. But at that point, I think it was too late because like Like Jason had told me, like, oh, Montel, I can get you in a Contender series. You want to get in a Contender series? Like, I think you got a good shot. I think they'll be looking to take you or whatever. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Like, if you can, like, let's see what they say. And he got me on. So, like, right around that time, like, it was like March and April and all that stuff. Like, that's when everyone was like on like the higher spectrum of the regional scene. That's when everyone was coming out, but it was too late. I had already signed off for the Contender series, so I was like, oh man, like all the fights that I potentially missed, or I needed, they all came about like when I finally, I signed on for the Contender series. So I was like, oh
I feel
man, it
like
was
it
like,
goes like that in fighting. You're like waiting, 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 and then everything happens at once.
yeah, because I was like as soon as I signed Contender series, and I was like, I was getting this promoted from here, this promoted from here, this promoted from here, and I was like, you people, man.
Now, when I first asked you about your first fight, you asked if street fights count. So going back to that, you've gotten in a lot of fights on the street before you got involved in martial arts.
Yeah, I come from a rough neighborhood, so you either gonna pray or pray. The only two options you got. Either you gonna pray on people or you gonna be praying for someone not to pray on you. So it all just come down to like, the victim mentality. Like, are you gonna let this happen to you? Or are you gonna sit by while this happened to you? You gonna watch this happen? You gonna let this person do you like, So like in our neighborhood, like I was always skinny, and I was kind of little, just skinny,
Hmm.
long arms and stuff, but just skinny, skinny with a big head. So like I would get guys that be a little like bigger and like a little bit bigger than me. They'll always, they try to fight me, because it's like, oh, this guy's little, it's the smallest guy. So, let's mess with this guy. So when that would happen, then I would have to beat them up, but then I would have to beat them up extra. Like I have to really like beat them up like ruthlessly, because like this guy's, they bigger than me and they think because I'm small, like they're gonna be able to like to pick on me or they want to fight me. So I would have to beat them up extra, like really put like an emphasis on like don't fuck with Montel motherfucker, like that type of ass whooping, like really whip the shit out of him because it just showed the next guy like, oh man, like this dude gonna fight you, like he gonna keep coming, like he not afraid of you, because like at that point, like a lot of guys when they like big and shit, they try to intimidate people like with the size and shit, but I'm like, like I've been down there pretty much fighting my whole life, I had to fight my cousins and shit, because again I was the smallest one, so
Hmm.
I always had to fight them, because like the way they thought is if we go somewhere and something do happen or someone do want a problem with us, you gotta fight. You can't be afraid. You can't run.
And people don't know this listening. Everyone thinks of Wisconsin as being rural, but Milwaukee is I think, one of the roughest cities in the Midwest for sure, especially the area that you grew up in, the north side
Yeah,
of Milwaukee, right?
yeah, north side. So it's like all throughout like my teenage years and all that shit. Like Milwaukee's like damn near like stuck in the top 10 or
Hmm.
so like a lot of people that come here and they be surprised like, oh no, I'm never coming there. Like, oh no, man, like the
Corey
place
always
is
teases me because I just certain things I say, like in Jersey, no one carries guns. Obviously, the laws are a lot more strict, but it's different here. He's like, well, it's you're from Milwaukee. Milwaukee's just everyone's shooting everyone there. It's obviously right outside Chicago, so a lot of that spills over into Milwaukee.
I know, like Milwaukee and Chicago, two different animals, but it's one and the same.
Hmm.
A lot of the shootings in Chicago, that stuff stems from like gang
Yeah.
violence and stuff, and that stuff all happens because of the gentrification that happened to
Yep.
Chicago. When they gentrified Chicago and they knocked down all like the project buildings and stuff, they systematically stopped like all the landlords and all that stuff when they knew the gentrification was coming. They stopped renting to anybody on the west side and on the south side or whatever, and they pushed everyone like to one concentrated area of
Hmm.
living, and that was like probably like the poorest area of the city to a point, but they all pushed them there, or they all pushed them to the outskirts of Chicago going into like Champaign or Peoria or Kankakee and, you know, all those suburban, you know, like cities because of like it was limited housing. So, you know, with that, you know, there goes, you know, crime comes with it because like these people are still rival people, you know.
Just magnifies it.
Yeah, because like they're all in one area, and like when you go to Chicago, like on the south side, it's like why the gang violence is like that is because everyone is literally fighting block to block.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can literally walk 2, 3 blocks and you walk into a whole different neighborhood, basically a whole different gang area, a
Mm-hmm.
whole different set of people. So that's what it literally come down to. But like when it was like when the project tires was up, then everyone like they pretty much stayed where like where they belonged to a point. Like okay, I live over here. I'm from this area. I stay over here. I don't really know anybody in that area, so I don't go to that area. Or if I do go to that area, I go with somebody that knows the area and that's a familiar face. Because when you do come over there, they look at you like a new person. It's like a threat because they never saw you before and they don't know you and they don't know if you coming over there to shoot. They don't know if you coming over there to rob. They don't know if you coming over there to retaliate. So they just, you know, they be a little bit more cautious about a new face coming into their neighborhood because, you know, people do drive-bys or people walk up and, you know, randomly start shooting at people, you know, because of the gang violence. So like they be real precautious, but it sucks.
How do you feel your community has received what you do for a living, like MMA fighting? People take it seriously, they praise you for it.
Yeah, like like you know, I don't look at myself as being like some type of big celebrity or
Mm-hmm.
like somebody a fandom or whatever. You know, I really despise of it. You know, because I'm like a very private person. I like to like walk down the street, no one know me, and no one. I can just do whatever I want. I'm like a ghost. But like in the city, especially on the north side and stuff, like you know, random people will come up and like hey Montel, and I'm looking like, who is this person? Who's this person? It kind of like somewhat like freaks me out to a point where I'm like I don't know if like if this person's police or yeah process server or like you know like what did this person want, like how do they know my name, and they come up they like hey man I saw your fight man, oh man you did this man hey man you was whooping that motherfucker ass man you weigh 135 pounds, you don't weigh 135 pounds, like man I get them type of people man, they be funny man. They be like man, you looked at fast on TV. Is you fast in real life? Hit my hand. Hit my hand. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, dog, these people crazy, man.
People come up to you and say they used to box.
A lot, man. A lot. And, you know, a lot. Or, like, you are, like, I get people that, you know, they always like, oh, man, I want to try it, man. I really want to try it. Hey, where do you train at? Like, what do you do? How do you, like, what do you do for this? Or what do you do for that? Or, I can box real good, you know. But I don't know about that wrestling and that grappling stuff. I don't know. I don't like nobody grabbing me like that. And I just look at them like, man, if you don't want nobody grabbing you, you gotta learn how to not allow them to grab you. Like it's MMA, it's all part of the, you know. You just can't come in with like, you know, some type of like secular thought, like I'm only gonna do this, or I can only do this, or I don't want to do that because I don't like to do this. I'm like, you gotta do it all because like MMA, you know, mixed martial arts. You
Still
hear
not
the
very
mix,
understood by the fans
yeah.
yet.
Yeah, like you gotta mix it up. Like you gotta mix up striking, mix the striking with the grappling. Like it don't make sense, but it'd be funny. Or I always get people always asking like, "Oh man, I'm gonna come train with you. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that." I just you know, it sound like it sound like so cliche, but I literally just copy and paste like I already got a pre-written out message. I just copy and paste it to them. Like boop, there you go.
Yeah, Corey gets that a lot too. What is fighting to you?
What is fighting to me? Fighting for me is like it's this truest form of self-expression because you can somewhat see a person's personality
Hmm.
by the way they strike. You could tell like what type of person there is. Like you just look at their style, you know. Like you just look at their style, like okay, this person, you know, he's slow, he's technical, he's methodical. Like you can understand, like okay, this person's a serious person, or this person's somewhat a perfectionist. This person is like logical, or this person's analytical. Like you can see that in their striking, and then you look at a person like okay, this person he's a brawler, presumably, or he's wild, you know, he's like impulsive. He's sometimes imbalanced. Like you can get that whole type of feel, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The people that fight on the outside. Okay, look at this guy. Like he got kind of like he kind of is like outrovertish a little bit, you know. He's comfortable, you know, his own little zone. He don't like people getting too close, you know. Very, very good on the personal like distance and managing the people, you know, that type of person. And then you get the person that likes to fight on the inside, probably very passionate, you know, looking for a connection. You know, you can get that, like you can get that. You can just see a person's personality and how they fight, how they how they fight. You can tell like a little bit about that person, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's always fun, you know. Like if you see like Anderson Silva is like a very jovial person,
Mm-hmm.
and you see his striking, he's very exciting. He's like fluid. He likes to move, and like you can see his real personality. Like, oh, this is who this guy is really. Like, you know, outside of striking, you know, or MMA, you can see like, oh, this how that person's personality is really. You know, this is how like his closest friends know him. You know, like this type of guy in the ring. Like you can see it like in his personality. Like Israel Adesanya, the same thing, you know. To
Mm-hmm.
us, you know, he's kind of like all laid back, kind of cool, you know, whatever. But then, like you see him in the ring, he's exciting, he's happy, he's jovial. Like you could just see it, you know.
I
That's how I
agree.
look at it.
I That's why I always say I'm in love with the art of the fight. It's an art to me. Obviously, there's different purposes for it, more violent purposes for it, but I 100% agree. And I think when people are in the cage at the ring together, they paint a picture together as well, which you
Yeah.
never know how that's going to turn out. Sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's garbage. You know? But thank you so much for coming on the show. Me and Corey, we love seeing you on the road. And like I said, I love seeing someone from home doing well and succeeding, and you're representing well. That's for sure. You're going to go far.
Thank you guys. It's all man. It's just like I don't know. Like you get there and it's like, oh man, this is surreal. Oh man, you look around, like you think like, oh, who would have thought they'd be in the UFC with Montel Jackson?
Hope you enjoyed Montel's story. My husband and I have been watching him since he's been on the regional circuit, and we enjoy watching him continue to find success in the UFC today. Thanks again for listening. Once again, you can check out new episodes at firstfightpodcast.com, and you can also go to our Instagram page at The First Fight. Give us a follow and stay up to date on all our upcoming episodes and our social media posts.